82 left. Yes, the target's bigger, but Hood's not on a finish. If he'd gone for the ball and hit it, it would have been double 16. You would expect him to at least hit a 25, which means his final dart in that turn would have been a 17. Instead of just about getting the 12, he'd have had 3 at tops.
Rather than 2.
Game.
But he only needed 2 in the end.
Steve West.
And Steve West has produced an absolutely spellbinding display in his opening match. A fabulous performance. Both players averaging well into 3 figures. But Steve West wins 4-1. Button here. Great dart. Double 8.
50.
There's confidence.
Yellow, you require 20.
Youth. Confidence. Ambition. May get another chance.
No score.
And will.
Owen, you require 16. Game shot and the first leg.
When you do follow
Owen Bates.
a match like we've just seen.
When a dart's standing up, it really is standing up because
Game
of
shot
the way we see
and
it.
the match.
But the way
Owen Bates.
that was seen was a comfortable win in the end for the younger player, the 20-year-old master, Owen Bates. Gives Classen a hammering, a 4-1 win, matching the result of Steve West. Game 3 coming up very shortly. Well, many players might choose to stay there. Yeah, he has. It was a brilliant, inviting guide, and he's used it. And that
91.
could have proved to be excellent.
Jacob, you require
excellent.
32.
It's kind of board management, almost dart management by Matt Clark there, but in the end missed the double.
Game shot and the first leg.
Struggled towards the back end of it, but as we said, the old experience, the pragmatism, he would come back and know that everybody starts on O in Group C, and he's looking. Oh, well, he thought it was in. The man from Walkden going for Walkies.
Just refocuses.
Game
And it
shot
was worth the
and
wait.
match. Matt Clark.
And it's 2 points that are worth their weight in gold as Matt Clark gets over the line against Jacob Taylor, the Canadian, suffering a defeat, the group favourite in his opening match. Clark winning it 4-2. There is plenty more action to come just around the corner.
Well, you use your own bit of integrity in situations like that and tend to
177.
stand a little bit
Justin, you require
further
67.
back just to make sure. A great 177, but still leaves him with plenty to do. Double 16.
51.
Well, if he
Owen,
takes
you
this
require
out, there'll be some
160.
way to turn a leg on its head. Not to be.
Close to the
128.
perfect 350.
Justin, you require 16.
There's been no reaction, really, after our opening few games. Looking at the... Just wait a moment.
Game
As
shot
that
on the
goes in,
second leg.
the 2-0.
Justin Hood.
Yeah, looking at the odds, Matt Clark evens, Steve West 8-11.
Yeah, no, he was stood right over by the drinks table, basically.
Justin, you require 10.
Could have pulled a pint. He was that far over to the
Game
right.
shot.
But it is
And the match,
Justin
Hood.
Hood who's happy with the scoreline. 4-1 in his favour in a fairly low-key performance. But he reverses the scoreline from his opening match against Steve West. When we come back, it will be Steve West back in action against Matt Clark. Anodized, is
Matt,
it?
you
I think.
require 61.
But he's messing around again.
They're going back in the case.
Interesting. Right,
Stay
6 or
in
a
that
10.
area. Yep, tops. That's the advantage of going the 45-8, of course.
Game shot on the first leg. Matt Clark.
Well, let's see what West is using this time, because the first leg has gone south for Steve.
What a week we had.
Matt, you require 112.
Well, he's been back in the darts case again, and West has pulled out of the tungsten tombola those other set of darts. So that is now 2 changes. I know Matt Clark is known as a pretty slow player, but I didn't expect an opponent to be taking pit stops during the game.
Game shot on the second
However,
leg.
it's Clark
Matt
who's
Clark.
doing all of the running, racing through the match. 2-0.
And if he wins this, he'll go into P1.
Third leg, it's
to
Steve, you require
maintain what's been a
20.
perfect start. And when you consider he lost the first 2 legs of this match, it would be an excellent victory for Steve
Game,
West. And he
shot,
has won.
And the match, Steve West.
Gets the best of Clark. 4-2 success for Steve. Matt Clark doesn't look too happy about that. No eye contact in the end there. Steve West with a change of darts and a change of fortunes. He wins his first 2 matches, seeing off Matt Clark. 4-2.
Just faded.
I apologise, he did beat Scott Taylor in his last game, didn't he?
Game shot on the 4th leg, Jacob Taylor.
Nothing wrong with the finishing there.
He can't. Needed a couple of treble 20s. He thinks the race is
52.
running this one.
Jacob, you require 40.
And he will really need to book his ideas up for
Game,
the rest of the day,
shot,
because
and the
Jacob
match,
Taylor wins his first match and inflicts a second defeat on the day of Vienna Classen. He's got some kind of problem here, talking to the referee, Justin Bradshaw. That will be fed back, whatever it is. But Classen not happy as he exits, having lost his first 2 matches. It's Pilgrim
Justin, you
final
require
come Saturday night.
120.
Great young player with an exciting future.
Yep, that's for sure.
Game shot on the 1st
And that's
leg,
for sure as well for Justin
Hood.
Hood, who completes that lovely 120 finish. Matt Clark couldn't do the
Justin, you require 74.
necessary adjusting. So Hood can get ahead.
Double 18. In it
Game
goes.
shot on the 2nd leg, Justin Hood.
2-zip. 2 out of 2 on the doubles. A 120 out in leg 1.
3rd leg.
Podcast, Jan van Veen has been on that, the new episode, and he's actually been praising the Modus Super Series on there. Here's that Shanghai cam again.
100.
Usually when we show that camera, they take it
Matt,
out,
you
Chris.
require
They do.
113.
Yeah, great lads over at the Weekly Darts Cast. Been on there many times myself. Usually have a catch up around about every quarter of the year. Tops.
Game shot on the
There it
3rd
is.
leg, Matt Clark.
Yeah, it's fascinating to see that we've had 16 nationalities represented outside of England in Series 3.
180.
Yeah, 3 in this group, so that's a bit of a giveaway if you've been watching today for some of the answers.
134.
And that 180 is Matt Clark's
Matt, you
first of the
require
day.
81.
May result in an 11 dart leg. That's
Game
brilliant.
shot on the
Brilliant
4th
stuff.
leg,
Outstanding.
Matt Clark.
He was 2-0 up in the match against Steve West and lost 4 on the spin. He was 2-0 down in this one and he could win 4 on the spin.
Game
That
shot. And the
is
match,
exactly
Matt Clark.
what Matt Clark has done. Justin Hood led that game 2-0, missed double top for a second 120 finish in the match, and never got another look in. Didn't get a go at a double after that. Matt Clark very clinical in that department. 4 out of 7 for him, including 113, and a very impressive average as well of 94.52. It's Clinical Clark here at the Super Series. Coming next, Owen Bates takes on Jacob Taylor.
Well,
162. Jacob, you require 16.
Pressure. Pressure does funny things.
Game shot on the
But
4th leg.
doesn't affect Jacob Taylor on that occasion.
You
Taylor
require
into
64.
at least trying to hold throw. 2 8s.
Game shot on the
under
5th
pressure,
leg.
and you can hear
Owen Bates.
him say, "Get in." I mean, his 2 winning legs in this match, 13 and 14.
52.
So double 16, the choice. Resets. I think he's reset there because the dart was closer to the treble than he would have liked. So he knew that his range was a little off. Starts
Game
again
shot
and he
on the
puts it
6th
right.
leg. Owen Bates.
Does he lose the leg? Does he lose the match? Double 2, last chance.
Game
Finds it.
shot. And the match.
Well, it took
Jacob
him a while
Taylor.
to cross the line, but Jacob Taylor does pick up a second win of the day. He bounces back from a defeat in his opening match makes it 2 from 2. Victories over Yellow Classen, and now Owen Bates, 7 140s apiece in that match. No maximums. Bates didn't miss a double when he got there, but the problem was he didn't get there often enough, and he didn't get there in the last leg when he had the dart. So he loses it, and Taylor takes the point. Now, coming next is a man with no points against a man with maximum points as Yellow Classen meets Steve West.
And he wants tops.
88. Yellow, you require 40.
Yeah, clever enough there to move away from the 18s. Shanghai shots can be nice, but there can be a lot of
30.
distractions in the way.
Yeah.
Steve, you require
I'm looking
20.
at a nice clear bed. Classen could have been basically home and hosed in this match. Double 7.
Game shot in the third leg. Steve West.
Well, he left it a little late, but he could have been in a world of trouble.
And that's a great guide for Steve West. Hasn't used it. Maybe a chance yet for Classen.
12.
And there is.
Huge chance.
Yellow, you require 62.
Only thing to himself, oh, now you miss. Tops.
42. Steve, you require 12.
Well, it looks like Steve West is going to continue this undefeated start. West going east. Going south. And going north
shot.
in terms
match,
of the
Steve
group.
West.
West wins all of his matches. It's a pat on the back. Vienna Classen, Steve showing some sympathy there for his opponent, because in winning his third straight match, he has inflicted a third straight defeat on Yellow Classen, who started the game well, won the first 2 legs, but West came bouncing back, and his form got better. Classen's declined, and it means that West is unbeaten on 6 points, and Yellow Classen has an awful lot of work to do.
What's left?
Owen, you require 20.
Well, Bates wants to take out his age here. And he gets there in the end.
And the match,
Owen Bates gets the better of Matt Clark, and it's a win. Keeps this group nice and tight as we approach the final throwings of the opening day. Bates with a 4-2 success in the first of our penultimate round of matches, and he joins Matt Clark on 4 points, along with Jacob Taylor, who will take on Steve West, the unbeaten force in this group, in a couple of games' time. But before that, Yellow Classen still looking for his first win against Justin Hood, who also is trying to get to 4.
Yellow, you require 108.
108. This has been no waste of time for Yellow Classen, and it looks like it's done in the blink of an eye, because that is an absolutely stunning performance. It'll be an A-star report for Yellow Classen there. 6 minutes and 36 seconds taken to dismiss Justin Hood. 4-0, 4 out of 9 on the doubles, and this is a bloke who hadn't won a game all day. Well, he has now, and he has gone above Hood in the table on leg difference. 2 points for Classen, back in the race, and that race continues next when Jacob Taylor takes on the best so far, Steve West, in the most incredible way. Not going to happen. So Jacob Taylor has the opportunity to inflict the first
Jacob,
defeat
you require 48
of the day on Steve West. And
shot.
He
and
does.
The match, Jacob Taylor.
Taylor takes West apart, and in doing so has actually gone top of the table. Level on points with Steve West, but the margin of victory means the pair are also level on leg difference. Taylor has won 1 more leg. That separates them, but it means that the group is wide open. Very decent display from both players, to be fair, but just look at that. Steve West had the same amount of darts at double, a dozen, as Jacob Taylor. He could only hit 1. So a first defeat for West. Taylor level on points in the table. Some symmetry now. 2 on 6, 2 on 4, 2 on 2. And Yellow Classen is looking to get into the middle of the pack when he faces Matt Clark next.
Wonderful match.
Matt, you require 87.
Right, this is a huge moment now for Yellow Classen. He really needs Matt Clark to miss this. Double break if it goes. And he gets 2 darts.
And he gave that his full attention.
Matt Clark.
And that is a super finish. despite the 180 in the leg. It's a breaker throw.
Tops rather than 160. But he might take it out. Oh, it would have been an almighty checkout for Jelle Classen.
84.
But this, following on from that emphatic 4-0 victory in his previous
32.
match, is a real reality check for the Dutchman. Flying high,
shot,
not 20 minutes ago. And now Jelle Classen knocked down and maybe even knocked out, depending on the last couple of results today. He won't mathematically be out of it, of course, but 6 points to bridge going into the final day of the group is usually far too much. And it's a massive margin of victory as well. The biggest, 4-0 for Matt Clark, who himself moves on to 6 points. And indeed, because of the margin of victory, to the top of the table. There's a reshuffle again. Clark, Taylor, West, all on 6. And it is going to be West who's back in action next. He takes on Owen Bates.
Stevie requires 16.
He gave it the big build-up there, didn't he? I'm not sure in that spot whether that was the right thing to do, because his first 2 darts have been spot on. I get it when his first darts are off.
Game shot on the 5th
that
leg.
is a dirty
Steve
deflection,
West.
and Owen Bates, well, he won't be able to believe it. You can see him shaking his head.
Yeah, it was a dirty double, that.
Like to overthrow, I'm rubbish. I'll hold my hands up to that. But when he was at his brilliant best and was really starting to threatening in some of the big major tournaments, it was his throw that I tried to copy for a while. When it's on, it just looks so easy.
Yeah.
And that's what you kind of do as an amateur darts player, which looks the easiest.
Yeah, I'll copy that.
Yeah.
He's seriously talented.
Stevie requires
See him in
62.
exhibition, some of the things he can throw and get to stick in the board is mind-boggling.
Well, that was his 4th 180. He hit 4 in his first match.
Shot.
He's hit
And
4
the
in his last match,
Steve
and he
West.
bookends the day with brilliant performances. Not quite the high average that he produced in the opener, but the middle match kind of lull for Steve West, one he gets out of. 4 maximums, as I said, and it means that West finishes with 4 wins from 5, and he's sitting pretty going into the final day in this group. One more match to play today then. Justin Hood takes on Jacob Taylor, who is looking to join West on 8 points. That's coming right up.
5. Justin, you require 66. I
missed a couple of match starts in the previous
32.
leg. Now has 3 more, and he gets the job
and
done.
the match, Jacob Taylor.
And that could be, unfortunately, his opponent done in terms of qualifying from this group and getting through to finals night. That win for Jacob Taylor caused us a bit of separation in this group. In a moment, Henry and Mace will go through the details of that, but the details of this match are what you can see on your screen there. 4 out of 13 on the doubles. Not great from Taylor, but even worse from Justin Hood. 1 out of 10, and Taylor was allowed to win at a canter. A 4-1 win that sees him joint top here to divulge the league table and look ahead to tonight and tomorrow. It is Mace the Ace alongside Henry.
Chris, thank you very much indeed. Chris Mason joining me up here on the balcony. Jacob Taylor is just so solid, isn't he? Proved it again there.
Yeah, and he's done it without playing anywhere near the level he played in the week he played to qualify. He's, I think he's got plenty left in the locker, and the one person who will probably be over the moon with how it's gone today, despite not playing anywhere near his best, is Jacob Taylor.
Most certainly. I was just talking to you on the balcony. In the 4 games that Justin has lost today, the lowest one he's lost to was that one, and that was an 87.
Yeah, he's walked into a few today, and that can happen. You can just be a bit unfortunate on some days, and people just manage to find their best matches against you. And that's the problem when you don't particularly make a great start. You just feel like you're chasing, and then you don't play your natural game. And we saw that from. Well, the main one was Jelle Classen, wasn't it?
Well, let's have a look at the table then, at the halfway point in Group C, because it is Taylor and West both out on top on 8 points. As for Steve West, well, he got out the traps flying, kind of bookended his day with really good performances, didn't he?
Yeah, 4 180s in his opening match and 4 180s in his finals match, and 4 in between, and a couple of the odd disappointing performance he won't be happy with, but overall, you can see why we rate him so highly, because he does have a high ceiling, and that was another game where Justin Hood walked into a monster despite averaging 104 himself. Steve West averaged a little less, 103 in that.
As for Matt Clark, well, he just puts himself in the mix every single time, doesn't he?
Yeah, I just spoke to him on my way up here, and I said, grinding away, mate. And Steve West was echoing those thoughts, and he's a grinder. I played him 23 years ago, and he's not changed. He plays at the same pace, and he just grinds you down. And even when you think, well, I should be miles in front in a leg, and you sort of have a glance at his score when you're on a 70-odd, and he seems to be there or thereabouts. And more often than not, if you give him a chance, he'll take it out. Let's
talk about Vienna Classen. What would be your assessment of the day?
I mean, we saw glimpses, but yeah, there's something not quite right there. I'm not sure whether it's a reoccurring problem with the wrist, where he's had operations on that, hasn't he? And yeah, he's just not looked settled all week for me, and that can happen. You can't, with form, you can't pick a time. You know, it's not like you're going into a training camp where you can peak at a certain time. Form comes and goes, and unfortunately for him this week, he's just not found his form.
Owen Bates, we've seen him play some good stuff today, but you were mentioning on commentary with Chris Murphy a little bit about his throwing style, his throwing stance. Just talk a little bit more about that from your perspective.
Yeah, it's interesting, because he's literally just petering on that edge of being off balance and on balance, and you sort of see his trailing leg just sort of tap to find that balance point. It's quite unusual. Nigel Hayden used to lean over, but he was very planted, where with Owen Bates, it's almost like a ballerina on that trailing leg. He's on his tiptoes.
I think we can have a look at a clip from one of his earlier games
after we've just spoken
Matt
about
Clark,
it. That's handy, yeah.
About that particular start. In fact, we have apologies about that. We will talk about that a bit more in depth.
It's quite interesting. You ultimately want to be planted on the oche, so there's no movement left or right, or obviously going forwards or backwards, because if there's a motion, very much like John Henderson, that very much relies on timing. So the advice is always get yourself in a planted position.
We'll be doing some more stuff like that with Chris over the coming weeks as well here at the Super Series. But our full focus and attention tonight is going to be on matters in Group B, because that's going to be getting underway. And it sees our bookended weekly winners involved in the action. John Worsley, who won all the way back in February. That was back when we were in our deepest, darkest, big furry coats, wasn't it? And then Dale Pilgrim, our winner last week. Sounds in the middle of them. It's going to be a first appearance of the week for Mike Gillett. And they're going to join Mike Warburton and Scott Taylor in the mix.
Yeah, and Scott Taylor probably was smarting yesterday. He probably felt like that was his that got away. I think Warby would be boyish coming into this, because the way he managed to manoeuvre himself into Group B, he'd be seriously happy with, and he produced some real good stuff towards the back end of Group A. Daryl Pilgrim, as you know, rate him highly. You can't overlook John Worsley and Mike Gillett. He's another fabulous player that. For him, he has to start a little bit quicker for me. He's a little bit too measured early on, can lose a couple of games that maybe he should win, and then all of a sudden he just ups the tempo and ups the ability and ups the numbers, and he's going to have to do that from the B of Bang tonight.
It was interesting speaking to Scott Mitchell on Monday about his experience in Group B, and he said the slow start ultimately cost him, especially when you're in a Champions League group like this. You lose your first two, you could be out of the race already.
Yeah, absolutely. Minimum requirement in Group B is 2 from 4. You'll be there or thereabouts on 8 points over the course of 2 nights. But like today, you cannot afford to start slowly, because you will get gapped. And as we've seen now, Justin Hood and Vienna Classen seriously gapped.
It's me and you in the booth tonight.
It is, mate. Lucky you.
Exactly. I just have the best job in the world.
Bring your gum shield.
See, I told you, the best job in the world. Right, we're going to be back at 10 o'clock this evening here on Sporting Stuff TV and on the Modus Super Series YouTube channel for all the action in Group B. But in Group C, Jacob Taylor and Steve West, well, they're the two players to prize apart. We'll see you later on tonight.